Hello, I'm Harold Metzel, founder of 10 Talent Stewardship, where we show you how to develop more robust stewardship. I've thought to myself, what does a pastor most want? I think to grow his church, his ministry, his people, and make an impact on the world. Well, all right, what does it take to do that? And it reminded me of the movie The Untouchables, where the actor Sean Connery plays the role of Jimmy Malone, a wise street cop helping Elliot Ness. And he asks Ness, "You want to get Al Capone?" he says. "What are you prepared to do to get him?" And then after many struggles together, Malone, the cop, lies on the floor, shot and dying, and with his last breath, he chokes out the challenge again to Ness, "And what are you prepared to do now?" Can you feel it? It's a great movie. I believe every person dedicated to a cause wants desperately to achieve his goal. Pastors too. And sometimes it boils down to what you're willing to do. Growing a church, as you know, involves more than sincerity, more than hard work. I think even more than faith. Growing a church often requires adding new layers. Adding new layers onto what now exists, not always, but almost always, causes a church to grow. For when you add or expand ministry, you widen the range of the people that you serve. Not all at once. You're not going to do a whole bunch of things, just little by little. As an example, take a church of 100 people. They might have a youth group, let's say teenagers, of maybe 6 or 10. But there might also be just 5 or 6 junior age kids, too young to take part with the older kids. Well, among those older kids, the pastor looks around and he knows Josh is a dedicated and faithful young man, so he says, "Josh, I'd like for you to start a new activity for the juniors." Well, Josh will first of all be scared to death, and he'll struggle at first. Doubting his ability, he'll flounder for a while. But after 4, 5, 6 months, the new group is not only settled, but growing. Their activities are fostering interest in others of their age. And now instead of 5 or 6 juniors, 12 to 15 are meeting each week, connecting the church with new families, broadening the church's influence. Now if you think about it, that happens in every department of the church, either by adding new layers or by expanding into new areas. To do that, of course, requires new leadership. And so here's the bottom line. Can you find a new leader? Sometimes we think there is nobody to lead, but almost always he or she is there, sitting in the congregation right now. Now that person may not look like a leader, but they're faithful and solid in their faith. Well, isn't that what every leader looks like in the beginning? Isn't that what you looked like? Don't wait for the right person to come along. That seldom happens. And if you try to hire for every leadership position, the church just won't grow as it's designed to. Now, of course, you'll want to offer that new volunteer as much training and resource as possible, but you don't need to figure it all out for them. Trust them. Throw them in the water and make them swim. They'll struggle and flounder a bit, just like Josh with the juniors, but they will figure it out, and consequently add strength to the church. New and expanded leadership, however, will not happen without your trust. You must delegate. That means relinquish control. Let people make decisions outside of your watchful eye. And so now I have to ask, are you prepared to do this? Like Elliot Ness, you must decide what you're willing to do to obtain your goal. Churches grow when ministries develop, either by adding those layers of strength or expanding into new areas. As God told Isaiah to prophesy, you must lengthen your cords and strengthen your stakes. Now, at 10 Talent Stewardship, we encourage you to grow your church using planned giving. Now, that's not a cure-all, of course. Nothing is. But it is a means of adding a new layer of strength to what you now offer. Stewardship is an aspect of discipleship, just learning to manage well what God gives. And you already preach on stewardship and possibly even offer programs to build financial strength in people. Well, planned giving and its related subjects reach out to those who've been successful in life, people who've been blessed with more than enough. To add this element to your church, however, you're going to need new leadership. And those people are already in your church. They are. They maybe don't yet look like leaders, but they're qualified. Expanding your stewardship training using planned giving really isn't hard. Especially for you, it's easy, if you're willing to trust faithful people to figure it out. What they will need from you, of course, is a decision and your trust. You can grow your church by adding layers to what you now offer. So I invite you, I encourage you, I implore you, take a look. Who in the congregation is the most likely candidate for the next leadership position? Offer them the challenge. Throw in the water. Watch how they struggle. But you'll also watch and see how, if I can mix my metaphors, you'll watch and see how that bud will blossom into a ministry that wasn't there before.